This is breaking news from your weather community. And what I'm about to share comes directly from 195 of you who took the time to comment and share your experiences. We've got a Cincinnati parent whose 7-year-old daughter has been watching forecasts all week, seeing snow everywhere except her hometown, feeling disappointed and confused. We've got someone in Maryland whose temperature dropped 35 degrees in just 12 hours, triggering debilitating migraines. We've got Texas farmers desperate for rain as bugs continue to survive through an abnormally warm December. We've got a Buffalo native who's actually celebrating because this weather reminds them of the real winters they remember from the 1960s. And we've got a Tampa Bay resident who moved there from Iowa and couldn't help but laugh when they saw a cold weather advisory for wind chills as low as 27 degrees. I've heard every single one of these voices, and this entire forecast is my response to what you've been telling me. But before we dive into the details, I need you to do something right now that could change how prepared you are for what's coming in January. Comment your city and state. Not your general region, not your county, but your specific city. Here's why this matters. I'm committing to creating custom 7-day forecasts for the top 100 most commented cities, and I'll post that follow-up video within 48 hours. Your city gets its own forecast, your own specific threats, your own timeline, but only if you comment. So right now, city and state, make it happen. Now let me share what your community has been reporting over the last 24 hours, because these aren't predictions from computer models. These are verified observations from real people on the ground. Syracuse, New York reported 13 inches of snow since last night. I verified that with multiple sources. Gaylord, Michigan reported 15 inches over the last 2 days, verified. Middle Eastern Ohio woke up to 7 unexpected inches, and it's still coming down, verified. Southwestern Pennsylvania got 4.5 inches overnight, verified. Maryland experienced a temperature drop from 54 degrees in the morning to 19 degrees by evening. A 35-degree plunge in just 12 hours, verified. And mid-Missouri is sitting at 18 degrees right now with a forecast of upper 50s by Sunday. Also verified. These aren't computer projections. This is ground truth. This is what's actually happening to your neighbors right now. And I need you to understand that it's about to intensify. At the 2-minute mark, I'm going to reveal the single biggest mistake people are making right now that's actually putting lives in danger. At the 5-minute mark, I'm going to explain in detail why Cincinnati keeps missing snow while Buffalo gets absolutely buried. It's not random, it's not bad luck, it's completely predictable science. And once you understand how this works, you'll be able to forecast your own local weather patterns for the rest of winter. But first, let me give you the hour-by-hour timeline, and I'm using specific numeric dates because someone in the comments pointed out that when I just say Wednesday or Thursday, the days start to bleed together. That was excellent feedback. So here's exactly what's happening. Right now, at this moment, Monday, December 30th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we have lake effect snow bands that are completely stationary over western New York, northwestern Pennsylvania, and northern Michigan. These bands are producing snow at rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour in the heaviest areas. Visibility is literally zero. Travel is not just difficult, it's impossible. If you're in one of these zones, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're planning to drive through any of these zones, I'm telling you right now, don't do it. By midnight tonight, as we roll into New Year's Eve, the coldest air of this entire week is going to settle over the eastern 2/3 of the country. Florida is going to drop into the 20s in many areas. Wind chills are going to plunge below zero across the entire northern tier of states. This is the deep freeze that we've been warning about. Tuesday morning, December 31st at 6 a.m., New Year's Eve morning, we hit peak cold. Minneapolis is looking at wind chills of -20 to -30 degrees. Chicago is looking at -10 to -20. Buffalo is looking at -5 to -15. This is legitimately dangerous cold, where frostbite can occur on exposed skin in just minutes. By noon on Tuesday, the lake effect machine is still running at full capacity. Buffalo, Syracuse, Erie, Watertown, you're still getting absolutely pounded with another 6 to 12 inches by evening. We're talking total accumulations approaching 2 to 3 feet in the heaviest bands. That's not a forecast, that's what's going to happen. When midnight strikes and Wednesday, January 1st, 2026 arrives, welcoming in the new year, the lake effect is finally going to start winding down, but the cold is going to persist. This is not going to be a day for outdoor New Year's celebrations. Wednesday morning at 6 a.m., an Alberta clipper is going to approach from Canada, and this system is going to spread light snow across the entire Midwest. Chicago, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, Columbus, Cincinnati, you're finally going to get something. We're talking about a coating up to maybe 2 inches. It's not much, but it's something. By noon on Wednesday, that clipper is going to be moving through, with snow ending across the Midwest and continuing into the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic. You might pick up another coating to 1 inch in these areas. Wednesday evening at 6 p.m., the lake effect is completely done. Finally, the cleanup can begin in earnest in those heavy snow zones. Thursday, January 2nd, the overall pattern is going to begin its shift. A ridge is going to build over the southern plains. Texas is going to start warming up, but unfortunately you're going to stay dry. Friday through Sunday, January 3rd through 5th, we're going to have a storm system that impacts the southeast. It's not going to be hugely significant, but it will bring some isolated strong storms and heavy rain from Mississippi all the way through the Carolinas. Then Monday through Wednesday, January 6th through 8th, this is the critical window that everyone needs to be watching. The jet stream is going to dip, Pacific storms are going to eject over the Rockies, and we're looking at 2 possible outcomes here. We could see a major winter storm, or we could see a severe weather outbreak. The details are still uncertain, but the pattern absolutely supports a major event. Now, let me address the mistake that I'm seeing, the one that's literally getting people hurt. People are underestimating wind chill, and I mean seriously underestimating it. I've seen multiple comments about how cold it feels. Someone in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area said it feels like 18 degrees. Someone in Western New York said 19 degrees feels like -4. Someone in Eastern Ontario said 5 degrees feels like -13. Here's what a lot of people don't understand about wind chill. It's not just about discomfort or feeling cold. Wind chill is actually a measurement of how fast your body loses heat. It's a survival metric, not just a comfort index. Let me break this down. At 0 degrees with no wind at all, you can actually survive outside for extended periods of time if you're dressed properly with good layering. But at 0 degrees with a 30-mile-per-hour wind, that creates a wind chill of -26 degrees. At that temperature, frostbite can occur on exposed skin in 30 minutes or less. When we get down to -20 wind chill, frostbite can happen in just 10 minutes. At -40 wind chill, we're talking about frostbite in 5 minutes or less. And this is actually happening in parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin right now. The mistake people make is thinking they can just run outside for just a minute without proper gear. You're just grabbing the mail. You're just letting the dog out. You're just scraping the windshield real quick. But that 1 minute turns into 5 minutes because things always take longer than you think. And 5 minutes is enough time for frostbite to begin. The rule has to be full coverage every single time you step outside, with absolutely no exceptions. Your face needs to be covered. Your hands need to be covered with insulated gloves, not those thin fashion gloves. You need absolutely no exposed skin whatsoever, even if you're only going to be out for 1 minute, because in conditions like this, that 1 minute can cause permanent damage. Now, let me give you the geography lesson that's going to help millions of people understand what's happening in their area. We've got Cincinnati and Buffalo and Cleveland and Erie and Syracuse and Watertown. Why do some of these cities get absolutely crushed with snow while others get nothing? Let me explain this in a way that makes complete sense. The Cincinnati parent asked about this because their 7-year-old has been disappointed all week. Every forecast shows heavy snow everywhere except Cincinnati. It feels personal to that child. It feels like Cincinnati is being left out on purpose. But it's not personal at all. It's pure physics. Lake effect snow requires 3 specific ingredients, and all 3 must be present at the same time. If you're missing even one ingredient, you get absolutely nothing. The first ingredient is cold air. We're talking Arctic air, 10 degrees or colder, flowing south from Canada. Right now, we absolutely have this ingredient locked in. The second ingredient is warm water. The Great Lakes are sitting at around 40 degrees right now, which is plenty warm compared to that Arctic air moving over them. So we've definitely got this ingredient too. The third ingredient is wind direction, and this is the critical variable that determines who gets buried and who gets nothing. Right now, the winds are coming out of the northwest, which means the air is flowing from northwest to southeast across the lakes. Buffalo sits perfectly positioned on the southeast shore of Lake Erie. This positioning gives buffalo what we call maximum fetch, which is the distance that air travels over open water. The longer the fetch, the more moisture that air picks up from the lake. So this Arctic air is traveling the maximum distance across Lake Erie, picking up the maximum amount of moisture, and then it hits Buffalo and dumps all of that moisture as heavy snow. That's exactly why Buffalo is looking at 2 to 3 feet of total accumulation. Syracuse is in essentially the same situation, positioned on the southeast shore of Lake Ontario. It's the same setup with maximum fetch, maximum moisture pickup, and maximum snow potential. They're looking at 1 to 2 feet. Cleveland sits on the south shore of Lake Erie, which means they get less fetch, which leads to less moisture pickup, and therefore less snow. They're still looking at 6 to 12 inches, which is definitely significant, but it's nowhere near what Buffalo is experiencing. Cincinnati sits along the Ohio River, which means you're not positioned downwind of any Great Lake no matter which direction the wind is blowing. You have zero fetch, zero lake effect capability, and that results in zero snow from this particular system. It's purely about geography and positioning. It's not personal, it's not bad luck, it's just physics and geography working together. But here's the hope for Cincinnati and Tennessee and everyone else who's been missing out on snow. Next week, the pattern is going to change significantly. Storms are going to start tracking from the Pacific Ocean, moving over the Rocky Mountains, and then traveling through the Ohio Valley. This is what we call system snow, not lake effect snow. And system snow doesn't care about your position relative to the Great Lakes. System snow is all about storm track. If the storm tracks over your area, you get snow. It's that simple. So I want to tell that 7-year-old in Cincinnati to please be patient. Her snow is coming, it's just not coming this week. When that pattern shifts next week, Cincinnati could absolutely get in on the action. Now let me address the drought situation, because this is creating desperate conditions for some of you. We've got multiple comments from Texas, Louisiana, Northeast Georgia, and West Texas all saying basically the same thing. Poor Texas, we need a winter and rain because the bugs won't die if it keeps getting to 85 degrees. We've had no rain in Northwest Louisiana and we need it bad. It's still dry in West Texas. We desperately need rain in Northeast Georgia because it's extremely dry here. Dallas is currently experiencing one of the driest Decembers on record. When you look at the precipitation measurements in inches, you're sitting at just a fraction of what would be considered normal. And this creates a whole cascade of serious problems. Fire danger increases dramatically. Vegetation becomes stressed and dies. Watering costs go through the roof. Bugs that should be killed off by cold and wet conditions just keep surviving and multiplying. There are serious agricultural concerns building. This is not a minor inconvenience. This is a serious situation. Let me give you the timeline for when relief might come. This weekend, you're going to warm up, but it's going to be dry warmth. We're talking 70s and 80s, especially in South Texas. That's not helpful at all for your drought situation. But Monday through Wednesday of next week, the jet stream is going to dip southward. When that happens, Pacific storms are going to be able to cross the Rocky Mountains. As these storms move over the Rockies, they're going to pull Gulf moisture northward. That's when the rain comes. We're talking about real rain, soaking rain, with 1 to 3 inches possible in the heaviest areas. It's not coming this week, but it's coming next week. You need to hang on just a little bit longer. Louisiana. You're on exactly the same timeline. You're about a week away from potential relief. Northeast Georgia. Your drought has been going on for quite a while now, but next week is when you're going to see some hope. Now let me address Colorado, because someone asked a question that deserves a real answer. Is there any hope for Colorado to get snow this year? The answer is absolutely yes, but the timing isn't right yet. The mountains are actually getting pounded with snow right now. Vail, Aspen, and all the major ski resorts are absolutely ecstatic with the conditions. Summit County is seeing feet and feet of snow. But Denver and the Front Range? You're warm and dry. The urban areas are completely missing out. Here's why this is happening. The jet stream position right now is tracking storms into the Pacific Northwest. Seattle and Portland are getting absolutely soaked. The Cascade Mountains are getting buried in snow, but all of that moisture is staying north of Colorado. Denver is missing out completely. Next week, the jet stream is going to dip significantly to the south. When that dip happens, storms are going to start tracking directly over Colorado instead of staying to the north. That's when Denver is finally going to get in on the snow action. It's not happening this week, But next week looks much more promising for the urban areas along the Front Range. Now I need to talk about temperature whiplash, because this is having real physical effects on people's bodies. The Maryland comment got absolutely massive engagement from the community. Someone said, went from about 54 degrees in the morning to 19 degrees and windy in the evening. Another comment that got 76 likes said, whoever keeps playing with the thermostat, please stop. My sinuses and migraines beg you. This isn't just funny, this is describing a real medical situation. These rapid temperature changes are causing legitimate physiological problems in people's bodies. When temperature drops that rapidly, your blood vessels constrict very quickly to conserve body heat. That rapid constriction is what triggers migraines in susceptible people. Barometric pressure changes that happen with these temperature swings cause sinus pressure to build up painfully. Cold makes joint pain flare up dramatically. This is human biology reacting to atmospheric physics. Mid-Missouri is experiencing the same kind of whiplash. Someone commented currently 18 degrees. By Sunday we'll be in the upper 50s, and Christmas Day was in the low 70s. That's a 55-degree range over the course of just 1 week, going from 18 degrees all the way up to 73 degrees. Your body simply cannot process that kind of change easily. So, what actually helps when you're dealing with this? First, hydration is critical. You need to drink significantly more water than you normally would. Second, use a humidifier because winter air is extremely dry, and dry air makes sinus issues much worse. Third, rest as much as you can because your body is working overtime trying to maintain homeostasis, and that's genuinely exhausting. And if the symptoms are severe, please see a doctor because this represents legitimate medical impact, not just complaining. Now let me address what's happening in Florida, because you're suffering in a completely different way than the northern states. I'm seeing comments like, too chilly in Florida, it's chilly down here in southeast Florida, I actually had to turn the heat on. I know Florida people are feeling like they're in Alaska right now. I never knew Florida could actually get down into the 20s. I can just see the iguanas dropping out of trees. Florida, what you're experiencing is absolutely real cold for your region. Yes, I know that people from Iowa are laughing at you. That Tampa Bay transplant from Iowa commented that when they saw the cold weather advisory for wind chills as low as 27 degrees, they couldn't help but chuckle because in Iowa, 27 degrees during winter is basically shorts weather. But here's the thing about context. It really matters. Florida simply is not built for any kind of cold weather. Your pipes aren't insulated the way they are up north. Your buildings aren't sealed properly for cold. Nobody in Florida owns real winter coats because you never need them. Your entire infrastructure was designed for heat, not for cold. So even what seems like mild cold to someone from Iowa becomes a genuine crisis in Florida. We need to respect these regional differences instead of mocking them. It's like how Iowa would absolutely struggle if temperatures suddenly hit 95 degrees with high humidity, because that's not what their infrastructure or their people are adapted to handle. And yes, the iguana situation is completely real. When temperatures drop below 40 degrees, iguanas go into what's called a torpor state. They're not actually dead, they're just cold stunned. When it warms back up, they wake up and continue on with their lives. But when you walk outside and find what looks like frozen dead iguanas lying on your lawn, it's definitely startling. This is what real Florida winter looks like. The good news for Florida is that this weekend, you're going to warm right back up into the 60s and 70s. Normal conditions are going to return. But tonight and tomorrow, you absolutely need to protect your pipes, protect your plants, and protect your pets. And yes, I know wearing a jacket feels weird for you, but please do it anyway. Now let me talk about the Buffalo nostalgia situation, because someone is actually enjoying all of this. Someone commented, "Thanks. I'm loving the weather here in Buffalo, New York because it reminds me of the winters of my childhood back in the 1960s. You are genuinely a rare breed of person. Most people are complaining bitterly about this weather, but you're celebrating it, and I have a huge amount of respect for that attitude. You remember what real winters used to be like. Sustained cold that lasted for months, heavy snow that kept piling up, the kind of winter where you couldn't even see grass from November all the way through March. Those winters shaped who you are as a person. They made you tough and resilient. You're getting 2 to 3 feet of lake-effect snow. You're dealing with below-zero wind chills. You're experiencing relentless snow bands. For the vast majority of people, that's absolute torture. But for you, that's home. That's what winter is supposed to feel like, so enjoy it while it lasts. Build snow forts. Go sledding. Make all the memories you can. Because winters like this are becoming increasingly rare. The climate is changing, patterns are shifting, and this kind of throwback winter might not happen again for many years. Let me talk to the people who are doing the heavy physical work right now. Someone from Northeast Ohio commented, "Shoveled a lot of snow this morning in Northeast Ohio. Stay warm, everyone." You're living in the Cleveland snow belt, which means this is just part of your winter life every single year. But the intensity of what's happening matters a lot. This particular year is significantly more intense than normal. The snow bands are stronger and more persistent. You're shoveling more snow more frequently than you typically would. Here's advice from someone who really understands what you're dealing with. Don't try to clear everything all at once. Focus on clearing specific paths only. Clear the path from your door to your car. Clear the path from your car to the street. Clear access to your mailbox. That's enough for now because you're going to have to do this exact same process again in about 2 hours anyway. You need to pace yourself because shoveling is extremely intense cardiovascular work, and you're doing it in cold air, which makes your blood vessels constrict. Heart attacks kill people every single winter while they're shoveling snow. Please take frequent breaks, drink plenty of water even though it's cold outside, and stop immediately if you feel any chest pain, shortness of breath, or unusual fatigue. Someone else commented about the importance of testing your snowblower before you actually need it. This is absolutely perfect advice. Snowblowers sit idle all summer long, and very often they simply won't start when you desperately need them in the middle of winter. Test yours today. Make sure it has fresh gas. Change the oil if needed. Replace the spark plug if it's old. Make absolutely certain that it actually runs properly. Because when you need it at 3 o'clock in the morning and snow is piling up, that's not the time when you want to be troubleshooting mechanical problems. Now, let me address what's happening in Syracuse. One person commented, "We have 13 inches in Syracuse." Another person said, "I think Syracuse has got a foot of snow since 11 p.m. last night." Lake Ontario is feeding you moisture absolutely relentlessly. The snow bands are setting up in a specific location and then just parking there for hours. When that happens, snow accumulates incredibly fast. We're talking about 2 to 3 inches per hour in the heaviest bands. You simply cannot keep up with it. You cannot stay ahead of it. All you can do is just try to survive it. I want to raise a serious concern about roof loads. Snow is extremely heavy, especially wet snow. A foot of wet snow can weigh anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds per square foot. Older roofs have specific weight limits. Flat roofs are particularly vulnerable. You should seriously consider hiring a professional to remove snow from your roof if you have either an old roof or a flat roof. Roof collapses happen every single winter, and sometimes people die in those collapses. It's much better to pay someone to safely remove the snow than to deal with the aftermath of a roof collapse. Now let me answer the questions that came up in the comments, because you asked and you deserve real answers. Someone asked, "What does the gold color represent on weather maps?" Gold indicates extreme values that go beyond the normal color scale. So if purple on the map shows 30 degrees below average, gold would show 40 or more degrees below average. It means conditions that are literally off the chart, extremely rare, and extremely dangerous. Another question was, is Indiana considered Midwest or Ohio Valley? The answer is actually both. Northern Indiana is considered part of the Midwest region. Southern Indiana, especially the areas along the Ohio River, is considered part of the Ohio Valley region. These regional boundaries overlap significantly. Someone asked, "Whatever happened to the term wind chill factor?" It still exists, we just use different terminology now. We now call it wind chill or feels like temperature. But it's the exact same concept as before. It measures the perceived temperature on exposed skin based on the actual air temperature combined with wind speed. Why don't you talk about the Canadian side of things? You'll reference tiny New York towns, but you never mention Toronto. This is completely valid criticism. Toronto is absolutely huge, much bigger than Buffalo, and it definitely deserves to be mentioned. I focus primarily on US weather, and Canadian weather data is sometimes on different systems, which makes it harder to integrate quickly. But you're absolutely right that I should improve my Canadian coverage. Do you have an Android phone app? Would be nice to have one. Not yet, but I'm hearing this request over and over again. I'm actively exploring the options. For right now, YouTube is the primary platform, but this is definitely on my radar. You should think about adding information on the effects on NFL games. This is honestly a brilliant idea. Weather has dramatic effects on football. Cold temperatures affect how the ball behaves. Wind completely changes the passing game. Snow affects player footing and field visibility. I'm going to start incorporating this kind of information. I wish you'd use numeric dates because the days bleed together when you talk. This is perfect feedback and I really appreciate it. I'm using numeric dates throughout this forecast now. December 30th, January 1st, January 7th. It's much clearer and less confusing. Let me share some safety wisdom that came directly from the community comments. If you're traveling during these storms, make sure you keep an emergency kit in your vehicle with blanket, food, water, anything to help keep you warm because it could save your life. To this excellent advice, I would add a shovel, sand or kitty litter for traction, jumper cables, a flashlight with extra batteries, a first aid kit, and a phone charger, preferably a battery-powered one. This emergency kit genuinely saves lives when people get stranded. Anyone made sure to do a test run with your snowblowers yet? If not, you should. This is absolutely critical advice. Test your equipment before you actually need it. When snow is falling hard and fast, that's not the time to discover your equipment doesn't work. Tires don't like these temperature drops. Please don't let pets be exposed too long. And check on the elders. All of this is crucial. Tire pressure drops by 1 psi for every 10-degree temperature drop, so check your tires weekly during winter. Pets absolutely can get hypothermia and frostbite. And they cannot tell you they're suffering. Bring them inside. Elderly neighbors are extremely vulnerable in extreme cold. A 5-minute wellness check could literally save a life. There are plenty of hospital employees that are still working during this winter regardless of the weather. Be very kind to them because many are out before the snow trucks even start. Hospital workers, EMS personnel, police officers, firefighters, utility crews, and snowplow drivers don't get snow days. They're risking their lives to keep the rest of us safe and warm. When you see them, thank them. They're genuine heroes. Let me provide some spiritual grounding here, because in difficult times, this becomes so important. Someone simply commented, "God bless, stay warm and safe all." That comment captures the heart of what real community looks like. It's about genuinely looking out for each other. It's about being in this together. Winter weather reveals true character. When times are easy, absolutely anyone can be nice. But when times are hard, when conditions are brutal, that's when you discover who you really are. Be the person who checks on neighbors. Be the person who shares supplies when someone needs help. Be the person who offers assistance without being asked. That's what it means to be Christ-like. That's what real community looks like. Here's the pattern forecast going forward so you know what to expect. Today through Wednesday, lake effect snow is going to dominate the weather story. We're looking at 2 to 3 feet in the heaviest bands. Extreme cold is going to persist. Travel is going to be dangerous and in many cases impossible. If you can possibly stay home, please do that. Thursday through Sunday, the pattern is going to begin its shift. A ridge is going to build across the western states. A storm system is going to develop across the southeast, bringing isolated strong storms that could produce heavy rain. Next Monday through Wednesday, this is the critical period that everyone needs to watch closely. The jet stream is going to dip significantly. Pacific storms are going to eject over the Rocky Mountains. We're looking at the potential for either a major winter storm or a severe weather outbreak. Both outcomes are absolutely on the table right now. Beyond that time frame, the active pattern is going to continue. We're going to see multiple storm systems. January is shaping up to be extremely volatile. Now here's how you can help yourself and help your community at the same time. Comment your city and state right now in the comments below. The top 100 most commented locations are going to get custom 7-day forecasts that I'll create and post within 48 hours. Your voice literally creates the content you need. Hit that like button on this video. The algorithm shows videos with more likes to more people in your geographic area. Your single like could warn your neighbors about dangerous conditions. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I'm going to be posting daily updates throughout this entire active pattern. You cannot afford to miss critical information. Turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. When storms threaten your area, I post emergency alerts, and you'll get notified immediately. That kind of immediate warning can literally make the difference between safety and danger. Share this video with people who need the information. Think about elderly relatives who might not be following weather closely. Think about people with long commutes who need to know what they're driving into. Think about anyone who might not be paying attention. Information only helps when it's actually shared. Here's the bottom line summary of everything we've covered. Lake effect snow is going to continue through Wednesday, producing 2 to 3 feet in the heaviest bands. Extreme cold is going to persist through Thursday. Next week, the pattern shifts significantly and storms begin to develop. Some of those storms will bring long-awaited moisture to drought-stricken areas. Some will bring more snow to areas that have already seen plenty. Volatility is going to increase significantly. For specific areas, here's what you need to know. Cincinnati and Tennessee, system snow becomes possible next week when the pattern changes. Texas and Louisiana. Rainfall is coming next week when Pacific storms cross the Rockies. Colorado, Denver. Snow becomes likely when the jet stream dips southward. Florida, warmth is returning this weekend. Buffalo and Syracuse, you're almost through this particular round of lake effect. Your community has been heard. Your questions have been answered. Your concerns have been directly addressed. Your custom forecasts are coming. Prepare yourselves right now. Stock up on supplies, test your equipment, help your neighbors proactively. Stay constantly informed. We're stronger together as a community. Comment your location. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Share with people who need it. This is how community saves lives. Winter is incredibly hard. But you're harder than winter. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. Stay connected to each other. I'll be posting those custom forecasts for the top 100 commented cities on Thursday, January 2nd. Until then, keep watching the skies and keep watching out for each other. God bless you and yours.